What's going on? Blue Jays fans, you need to pay attention right now because the Bo Bichette situation is heating up in ways that honestly should have every single one of us on edge. We're not just talking about whether he comes back or not anymore. We're talking about 9 teams actively pursuing him. We're talking about a price tag that might be way higher than anyone expected, and we're talking about the Blue Jays potentially being in a bringing him back their homegrown star or going after one of the best players in baseball. This isn't speculation anymore. This is real. This is happening right now, and the next few weeks are going to determine the entire direction of this franchise for the next decade. So if you are not locked in yet, you need to be, because we're breaking down everything you need to know about where Bo Bichette stands, what his market looks like, how much money we're actually talking about, and what it means if the Blue Jays can't bring him back. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash that like to let me know you are here, and let's get into this because it's about to get intense. Let's start with the competition because this is where things get wild. Former GM Steve Phillips just reported that 9 teams are currently in the mix for Bo Bichette. We're talking Red Sox, Tigers, Royals, Mariners, Phillies, Mets, Braves, Dodgers, Giants, and obviously the Blue Jays. That's everyone. That's pretty much every contending team that needs infield help or offensive firepower. And here's what makes this so critical. When you have that many teams competing for one player, the price goes up. Supply and demand. And right now, demand for Bo Bichette is through the roof. Now, some people have been saying, well, Bo can't play defense, so maybe teams will be scared off. Wrong. Jeff Passan confirmed that teams have not been scared off by Bo's defense at shortstop. They're still looking at him as a shortstop, which means they're willing to pay him shortstop money. And that changes everything. When you are paying someone as a shortstop, especially someone with Bo Bichette's offensive ability, you are not talking about a $150 million deal anymore. You are talking about potentially $200 million, maybe even more. Steve Phillips threw out $250 million as a possibility. $250. That's a 10-year deal for a guy who's about to turn 28 now. If you are the Blue Jays and you are trying to bring Bo back to play second base, you are in a tough spot because you still have to match what other teams are offering him to play shortstop. You can't just say, hey, we want you at second base, so we're going to pay you $100 million less. That's not how this works. If the Red Sox or the Tigers or whoever else is offering him shortstop money to actually play shortstop, the Blue Jays have to compete with that, even if their plan is to put him at second base next to Vladimir Guerrero. So the question becomes, is $250 million too much for a guy who you are essentially just paying for his bat? Because let's be real here. Bo Bichette is not a good defensive player. He's not even an average defensive player at shortstop. The metrics have been pretty clear about that for years. His value is in his ability to hit, to make contact, to rack up 200 hits in a healthy season. That's what makes him special. But when you are talking about paying someone $250 million, you want more than just offense. You want someone who can contribute on both sides of the ball. And with Bo, you are not getting that. Now, does that mean he's not worth it? Not necessarily. If he stays healthy and continues hitting the way he has throughout his career, that bat alone could justify a massive contract. But here is the problem. Bo has dealt with injuries. His legs are already a concern. And if you are signing him to a 10-year deal that takes him into his late 30s, you have to assume those issues are only going to get worse. So, by the end of that contract, you are probably looking at a designated hitter who's making $30 million a year. Is that something the Blue Jays are willing to commit to? Now, let's talk about what this means if Bo doesn't come back. Because the more I look at this situation, the more I think here is a real possibility. He signs somewhere else. And if that happens, the Blue Jays better have a plan. The good news is they're apparently the favorite to land Kyle Tucker. And I am not just saying they're one of the favorites. Jeff Passan said they are the favorite singular. That's a big deal. Kyle Tucker is one of the best all-around players in baseball. He can hit for average, hit for power, play elite defense in the outfield, and he's roughly the same age as Bo. The difference is Kyle Tucker is a more complete player, and he gets MVP votes, basically. And here's where it gets tricky. If you are Bo Bichette, what do you prioritize? Do you prioritize staying with one team your entire career, winning a championship with Vladimir Guerrero, and playing for a contender? Or do you prioritize playing shortstop and getting the absolute maximum amount of money? Because if it's the latter, there are teams out there who are willing to give him both. The Tigers, for example, don't have an established shortstop. They could easily slide Bo in there and pay him whatever he wants. The Royals are in a similar situation. Even a team like the Phillies, who are win now and have money to spend, could get creative with it. So if Bo is dead set on playing shortstop, the Blue Jays might not be his best option. But if he values the other stuff, the loyalty, the chemistry, the chance to win with Vlad, then Toronto still has the inside track. And that's why I still think, even with all this competition, the Blue Jays are the favorite to bring him back. They can offer him things that no other team can. The question is whether that's enough. Let me throw out another scenario that people aren't talking about enough. What if the Blue Jays sign Kyle Tucker and then use the money they would have spent on Bo to upgrade the rotation and the bullpen? Because if you are spending $250 million on Bo Bichette, that's money that can't go toward pitching. And we all know this team needs pitching. They need a true ace at the top of the rotation. They need depth in the bullpen. So maybe the smarter play is to go get Kyle Tucker, who gives you elite production in the outfield, and then use the rest of your budget to build a complete roster. You still have Addison Barger. You still have Ernie Clement. You still have guys who can fill in the infield and give you solid production. It's not ideal, and it definitely hurts to lose someone like Bo. But from a roster construction standpoint, it might actually be the better move. Here is the bottom line. The Bo Bichette market is heating up in a major way. 9 teams are involved. The price tag is climbing, and the Blue Jays are in a position where they have to make some really difficult decisions over the next few weeks. Do they match whatever offers are out there and bring Bo back, even if it means paying him as a shortstop to play second base? Do they pivot to Kyle Tucker and build around him instead? Or do they somehow pull off the impossible and land both of them along with a top starter and go full Dodgers mode? We don't know yet. But what we do know is that this offseason is going to define the next era of Blue Jays baseball. And as fans, all we can do is wait and hope that Ross Atkins and the front office get this right. Because if they don't, if they lose Bo and don't have a backup plan, this team could be in serious trouble. But if they do get it right, if they bring back Bo or land Tucker or somehow do both, then we're looking at a legitimate World Series contender for years to come. So let me know in the comments where you stand. Do you want Bo back at any cost? Would you rather have Kyle Tucker's? Do you think both is actually possible? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and make sure you are subscribed because the next few weeks are going to be absolutely wild, and I'll be here breaking down every single development as it happens. Let's go, Blue Jays.